You good, missus?
Yeah.
Pushing the button for the Wednesday show. Yay! Yeah, with a T. Bronston.
Yeah.
We got it. There we go. Hello, Mrs. Ryan. Hi there.
Hello.
Get that echo out of here. Goodbye. Get everything else situated. Chad did a great job, but I have checked nothing. What's happening, Mrs. Ryan?
I've already spilled coffee and changed my shirt. So
Have you really?
Yes.
That's funny. I like that you asked me before if your shoe. Okay. How about this? Welcome back, everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is Late Night Playset. Welcome back. September 11th. Well, I should probably say that our guest today is BRONSTON JONES, here to make us laugh on 9/11. It'll be a few minutes. You guys are going to love this guy. He's in from Venice, all the way from Venice. He flew out to see us out here in the valley. He's one of those people, like when we used to live in Venice, you don't leave Venice when you live in Venice. It's one of those, it's easier to stay. You want to stay. There's really no reason. And he'll tell us all about that. Anyway, lighten up the little 9/11 and all that stuff.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I guess for Porsche people, though, 9/11 sort of, it's a half celebration because we do every other, 9/01, 9/04.
Right. Yeah, you guys have one.
It is what it is. How you doing, Mrs. Ryan? What's happening? Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm fine. I had a spectacular morning. I'm just super worn out, so my body's not working great, but up here is working fine, so I could do some phone calls.
You were on the phone a lot this morning.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll get to one of those a little bit later, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to talk about a couple things. One, Late Show 26 yesterday with Steve Mazon. That was neat for me. It was neat. It was weird. It was a blur. I didn't remember anything what was happening on the show. If you haven't watched this episode, go back and check it out, especially if you've seen Late Show 25 and you know the whole microphone story. This was an opportunity to have a guy who was the subject of a documentary called Dying to Do Letterman here after he'd heard the story. He's already been a guest and now he's a friend. But we sort of turned the tables and he sort of dissected me a little bit. And what did you ever think about this? And would you have done this? And blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of cool. But for me, it was a little weird being here doing the job where I normally drive and not
letting someone else drive a little bit.
But I couldn't relax completely because I still had to push buttons and everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting one to watch, but I highly recommend it. And thank you so much to Steve Mazon, who came back twice in like 2 weeks to do that. So
it's a great episode. I watched it last night too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
How was it?
It's so every time I hear more about your story and hear you talk about with someone that knows that stuff, it is fascinating because other layers keep getting pulled.
That was the thing about it. He kept pulling new stuff out. Some stuff I had thought about and I just forgot to say that day when we were telling the story, and then some stuff it was almost coming out real or real time. Anyway, it was really interesting. Highly recommend it. And thanks again to Steve Mazon, our good friend. Shirts and shoes. So you spilled some stuff already. You've already changed. You came out here and you asked me earlier, is it okay if I wear my green shoes? This is one of the, there's a lot of wonderful things about being sponsored with all our gear and stuff here. One of the negatives is we have a lot of duplicate stuff. So I can't tell you how many times we come out and, and we'll go, one of us has to change. Specifically, that happened last week on the show, and neither one of us noticed it till afterwards. This is during the show. We noticed it during edit afterwards. So these faces have nothing to do with how we look. Check this out. Morons! Look at that cute couple with their matching shirts. I'm with her.
I couldn't do it again.
Oh man, so funny. Well, on the show, nobody sees my feet.
I totally understand that, and I just didn't want to. No one. I didn't want our guests to see it.
Oh my goodness! All right.
I had to clear. I didn't want to look the same and be cutesy.
Maybe you were so on this morning that you thought, "Oh my goodness, I can't drop the ball now."
Yes.
With that, you mentioned on the show yesterday, Mrs. Ryan, that you were bruising. I didn't know what you meant other than the usual, except afterwards you put a post up, or maybe afterwards I saw it, but you mentioned that you had fallen yesterday when you were making the bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, can you explain what happened?
Yes, I was pretty done making the bed and was laying down to just take a minute, and I just tumbled.
Oh.
And I landed. It's worse now on my collarbone because it landed all through here like seatbelt stuff.
Yeah, but you're already there's no meat here anyway, so it's just bone.
Nothing
Wooden
except
bone.
this weekend when we did Malibu and I fell. It's on my right side. My leg is all concocted, so it's...
I was going to bring that up as a separate
hilarious.
thing. I'm so grateful that we're laughing about it because I want to cry inside. We've gotten to the point where Mrs. Ryan's falling. She hasn't been able to walk for a long time, but we were at Malibu Kitchen, leaving Malibu Kitchen the other day, and she ate shit going down the stairs and landed very gracefully. Did not eat shit by any means, but went down, and it just... nobody even, I think, noticed because you were so sort of graceful and slow about it.
Yes, I've learned to just sink.
Yeah, graceful isn't the word, but you kind of you just sort of jellied down so that there was no, like, Peter Griffin.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm super uptight, so, like, I'm usually, like, so rigid to not fall that I'm finally starting to, like, let go a little bit because I don't really have a choice, but so it's, like, got to figure it out. Yeah. So I'm letting go a little bit, and I'm falling a little more, but... whatever.
I'm hoping that that's an awkward phase that you grow through as you are growing. You're growing in so many ways, emotionally and mentally, and in so many other ways. Physically too, you're rebuilding all the time. I don't know. You're dealing with a lot.
I think that's all it is. It just hurts.
All right. That's all the hello stuff. I want to play 2 videos, Mrs. Ryan.
Okay.
They're both pretty quick. One is from the weekend. We tried to do it yesterday. I didn't have it loaded in the system. Works out for you today if you're tuning in because you get to see it now. And then we've got an East Coast feed.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to do the weekend first since we talked about it yesterday. Roll it, Hal.
Twitter.
And Twitter. What about Instagram? No Instagram?
No, I gotta get to there. Yeah, I
Okay.
was saying so. And you were...
Good morning.
PCA San Gabriel Valley region. Good
Yes.
morning from morning shift. Yes, that's correct. We are here at the Porsche Experience Center, Los Angeles, walking around. There you go, Mrs. Ryan.
It's a great video.
Well, that's our life. I didn't do it. Believe it or not, the iPhone did most of that. All we did was live the experiences.
Well, thanks for my experiences.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Ryan. With that, it's time to check in with the East Coast feed real quick, then what's going on, and get our guest in here, okay?
Awesome.
East Coast feed, Danbury Chive checking in. I believe we're not at BMW. Let's see where we are now. Roll it, Hal.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, it's Brooke and the Cavs, man. Look who else. Mike and Taylor. We'll send you some happy birthday already. Michael's got a Twiddle shirt on if you didn't notice that. You don't know. It's barbecue, so. Right, it's a I don't know what that means. Anyway, we're at a family barbecue. We're down in Jersey. As you can tell, it's loud because our family is loud. We just want to send you birthday love and alcohol, apparently. And that's it. And happy birthday, love you. We love you too, Nicole. Love you, Nicole. Happy birthday, we'll do the same. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Kazman, Brooke, and everybody else. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes last week. It was a lot of fun. And then the 111 cake, thank you to Danny up at Newcomb's for getting the 111 cake. That wasn't just a cake that they wrote 111 on. It was like, it was made for us. It was made to be a steering wheel and the whole thing.
There
and the
was
inside was color
painstaking
coded.
detail put into that.
Very impressive. So
so
thank
nice.
you so much. And a nice surprise. Mrs. Ryan, that's everything I have. It's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind.
Dun, dun, dun.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun.
In Boston, they're taking a charge of like educating people how to use money and how to save money. And so they've got a program called Boston Saves where every kindergartner enrolled gets $50 to go to college. So it's
to incentivize saving and higher education. Yeah.
it gets that conversation going early, and it gets conversations about money and how to use money and what it's for. Like, I am a big fan of Massachusetts is starting a similar program statewide.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's great.
Sounds like at least we're thinking forward. I
Sure.
like that. Go for it. Did you know the game? I did not know about this game. Did you know about the game 25 words or less?
No, I don't think so. I feel like you and I would fail at it. We're so verbose.
Yeah, I would. Yes, for sure.
Not going to be good at that game.
Well, apparently they're making it a game show, talk show, instead of just a board game. So Lisa Kudrow from Friends is helping develop it and bring it back. And
That kind of sounds fun.
It
I mean, it sounds like a catchphrasey type thing. Like you have to describe something, and like pyramid.
The description is Pyramid meets Family Feud.
Oh God, well I love the feud.
So-
Survey says.
It's I don't know.
Richard Dawson specifically,
Yes.
even the Ray Combs years, but Richard Dawson.
Richard Dawson for sure. There's a lot of celebrities duos that are going to be pitted against one another. So I'm curious.
I tell this story all the time about how I went into the supermarket sweep, by accident. That same studio and the one we used to work at, it came up yesterday because it was Ellen. It was Sunset Beach for us and whatever the fuck. It was Saved by the Bell and Fresh Prince. Anyway, it was also that. It was also Family Feud when Louis Anderson was doing. It's time to play the feud. He was the best. He was so nice. That was when I met Louis Anderson. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry for that. Terrible side.
Later this month, you can watch that show on Fox or whatever, but it's from Lisa Kudrow. So
sounds good.
Check it out.
For some people's favorite friend.
Courtney Cox is going to be on it. That's what I
There you
wanted
go.
to say.
Two of people's favorite friends.
Yeah. KFC has a video game online. I did not know this. And there's a whole, it's called Steam. It's like a online PC. It's not through KFC. It's just where they're distributing their game.
Oh, I see.
But the new KFC game is you play. It's a sim type game, and your player goes to culinary school and tries to hook up with Colonel Sanders.
Get out of town. It's a prequel game?
I don't even know if it's a prequel. It's just like how to...
Well, if we're in college and trying to pick up Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, then I guess so. Yeah. So enjoy chicken and play. It sounds weird, but I'm curious. Okay. This chair specifically, all I could think about yesterday was Chris Farley and him, how he...
Oh, we brought it up because Maison was here. I call it the Chris Farley chair because you can't see this on at home, but if you were to investigate these things very closely, one of these chairs is damaged, and it's the one
that he tumbled on?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So there is a band in Ohio called Saint Seneca. I didn't want to screw it up. Saint Seneca. They found a clip online of his Van Down by the River sketch that he did when he was
Matt Foley, I
Matt
believe,
Foley.
and that was written by Bob Odenkirk from the show.
Oh, he
Better
wrote
Call
that?
Saul and previously the Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I
But that
didn't
was
know
one
he
of
wrote
his.
that.
I believe so. I believe so.
It is one of my all-time favorite sketches because he's so good in it.
Yeah.
And so,
And it was his character, I believe. That was Chris Farley character.
Chris Farley character, and it's part of my just like history lexicon of like comedy knowledge, but I forget that some people don't always know it. So
They
anyway,
were still doing that sketch when I was there.
they were.
Absolutely.
Well, apparently
I saw that sketch come
a
up.
younger folk band, the St. Seneca people, didn't know about it previously and found a clip online and was like, this is hilarious. I'm going to write a song. And they did, and it's really good.
So it's living in a van down by the river
it's
or
called
something like that?
It's called In a Van.
Love it.
It
Love
is so good. And St. Seneca
And if you
I'm
get a
new
chance,
fan.
you should totally go watch that thing because he's always with the waist belt and the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a hilarious sketch. So I love
You
it.
find yourself eating a Daddy Diana government cheese.
It is so funny in St. Seneca. Good job.
Oh, and that's Ben. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun. All right. Nice job, Mrs. Ryan. Let's take a break. Let's get our guest in here. Bronston Jones is going to be in here in a few moments. Get us all laughing on 9/11. Sorry about that. It didn't even occur to me till I said it out loud before. And our guest today,
Moving on, man.
seeing a few more to come right after this, Bronston Jones.
That's a sultry.
And with that, this is it. We are back sitting here with Bronston Jones. Hello there, Bronston Jones.
Hello, nice to meet you guys today.
Welcome. Thank you
Same.
for being here. I have met you someplace before, and I'm wondering if it was maybe even at your show, because we went to a couple
We
of those
did
when we used
go.
to live
Mm-hmm.
in Venice. Have
Well,
you
you-
always been the host of it? Is that your
Yeah,
show?
I started that show
Venice
Underground
There we go.
at the Venice Townhouse, the oldest continually operating bar
Yeah.
in all of Los Angeles.
Supposedly one of the only real speakeasies underneath,
Yep.
supposedly with the tunnels and all that.
The reason it's the oldest continually operating is because the bar opened in 1915 when Prohibition hit. They moved the bar to the basement, put in a grocery store, paid off the cops. And so every other bar that's older that has speakeasy moved to a different location for that. So they're the only ones that stayed on the same address that's
Wow.
still open now. There might have been a few others, but they've closed.
At one point, we were trying to do a show there. We were part owners of a burlesque show, and we were trying to set it up
Oh.
there as well, because they were doing that at some point. I don't know if
They
they
do
still
burlesque on Wednesdays after us.
Okay.
So
this-
Wednesday nights at 9, you come
There
for
you go.
comedy. At midnight is burlesque.
That's actually pretty awesome. Is it in
Yeah.
the same room?
Same room. So we ended at 11:30. They clear the room. They clear
The tables and stuff?
like we put folding chairs on the dance floor, and they get rid of that. So the girls use that. They put in a pole, stripper pole.
I wonder if it's the same. That's
Might be.
It's the bootleg bombshells.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know.
So it's different. But
it's
it
good.
sounds great.
But what I was getting to was that they gave us a tour of the whole place, and they took us like in the
Oh,
back tunnels and
yeah.
all that sort of like all those storage rooms and all that
There's
stuff.
history there because you think about this as like during the Flappers era, all the great jazz people that were coming through LA, they would play down there because it's a speakeasy.
Yeah.
And then any
Some of the
band-
greatest jazz people in the world, probably.
Yeah, and any band that has like a Venice history has played there. So the Chili Peppers have played there, Social Distortion, Jane's Addiction, and what's the biggest Venice band ever? The Doors.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the Doors used to play there.
And
Really?
Yeah.
Now you're
cool.
you're a Venetian. You live in Venice. Are
Well, I
you?
don't call myself a local. I mean, a local would be like, you didn't go to Venice High for 5 years. I'm like, no, I didn't.
But you clearly live it and breathe it.
I Venice
Are you
Beach-
a bit of a historian too? Because you seem to know more
well,
maybe than even I do.
especially about the townhouse because living there, or for 8 years, I've spent every Wednesday there, and I go there. My favorite place in the whole planet
Yeah, you
is the
definitely
stage
would've been
at
there. It was
Venice
the same
Underground.
time. Really?
Yeah, because I've
Can
spent.
you even fit on it? Because you're
it's
very
the,
tall, and
the
I'm.
stage is 3 inches. The ceiling's 3 inches above my head.
I was going to
Okay,
say that the
Yeah.
few lights that are there, I always had to avoid at 6'2".
Yeah, no, I've smashed my head into every single
One of them,
everything
okay.
because it's built like a pier because it was built during when they built
Right,
the pier.
the pilings and everything.
And so there's a lot of low beams, and then a year and a half after we started the show, they put in these hanging air conditioners. So I've smashed into all those.
Oh my god!
But I can now.
Well,
walk-
actually, that's really good though, because it used to get muggy down
Really
there.
hot.
yeah.
So that's pretty good,
It's
actually.
But Brian Callen just called it the best show on a Wednesday night in Los Angeles. That's
Wow.
a pretty.
Oh,
that's
that's-
pretty high praise.
Yeah.
It's a super cool room. I highly recommend anybody check it out.
Yeah,
That's good
it's
job.
fun. He's
The
been there.
energy's really fun.
We've had Burr once. We've had Margaret Cho. We've had Jim Jeffries used to live nearby, so he used to drop in. But he
Jim Jeffries used to live nearby.
yeah, he used to live on I want to say 30th Street.
The Brit. Jim Jeffries? Am I thinking of the right guy?
Well, he's Australian, but yeah.
Australian.
But
Some
whatever.
different guy.
For-
You guys
for
don't know the
Americans,
Brit?
what's the
The
difference?
foreign
What's
guy
the-
with the
it's
accent.
awful.
It's some other country on an island somewhere. I don't know.
Only quarter of the flag is the same. That was bad on me. Sorry,
British
Jim
criminals,
Jeffries.
so that's
sorry,
good.
Jim Jeffries.
But he
Are you Australian?
No, he did make his start in London.
Oh,
So-
okay. Now
so
you're making me
there
feel
you
better.
go.
Sure, I appreciate it. Well, you look very familiar. I'm wondering if we ever met you during that whole process.
Well, if
Maybe
you lived on
that's part of
Catamaran
it.
when I lived, you were living on Catamaran when I
We
was
used to live in
living
the marina,
on Spinnaker, which is the same
The
peninsula.
alphabet streets.
And everybody in Venice knows each other. And if you ever went to bars, you definitely saw me. 'cause
Well, that
I'm
was it.
hard to
I
hide.
lived on Washington, so
Yeah.
I was at CNO every night for dinner. I was at Baja for drink. I mean, we used to
Hananos,
drink
come
in those
on.
Hanano, burger
Love
and
that.
beer at Hanano
Yeah.
all the time. And
Mercedes
music,
now
too.
has a late night liquor license, so if, on weekends they'll stay up until 2
They
sometimes.
do.
No kidding.
Yeah, they used to have to close at like 10.
It meant 8, I think, on the
And,
weekend or something crazy.
Yeah, so but the neighborhood has changed a little bit, but Hanano's is still Hanano. Best burger in LA.
Best burger
Cancel.
I've ever had.
Yeah.
Period. To this day. And if you go at the right time and get Benny to ask really nice, you can have him get American cheese on it instead of what, and he'll fry an egg on it.
Yeah.
Well, if you
really
really want if you really want it, they have Swiss cheese and they have cheddar. And if you really want the insider local thing, is you get both cheeses on it. It's an extra 50 cents, but it's unbelievably different with grilled onions. And then I put the hot peppers and Tabasco on.
That's your
Every
way.
Wednesday night after my show, I walk down there. Except
Oh,
I haven't
no
been
shit.
able to because of this weight loss thing. But
We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
But on the burger right now, they offer you cheddar or Swiss. However, you can
Yeah.
ask for American because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have it for the grilled cheese. I just like it because of the melt, but they never will offer that. Oh my
No,
god,
no,
they
no.
won't even do it because the burger's too good.
I realized I was now local enough there that I could go, I don't want these chips. Can I get those chips? And they'll give them to me.
That's
'Cause
right.
If you're not a local, they're like,
Well, it
you're going to
depends
eat
on-
what we give you. Go.
Depends on the girl you get too.
Yeah.
Boy, that's funny. I used to love Hanano. Oh my god, I can't think how many nights we closed that place down.
It's the
Music
best.
and everything else, pool tables, popcorn.
Then we definitely hung out.
Yeah.
I probably partied in your house. I partied in almost every.
That could
every
be. We
party
had a
house.
really nice 2-floor place. We used to have the Halloween party every year that we turned the place into a castle. We had the Ghostbusters
Oh, so
car
you
outside
had the
and
two
everything.
stories overlooking, like so on the
On the canal side, looking at the canal. It was literally the last one, like on Strong's side.
Oh no, that I never partied there. Gross. I don't cross Pacific.
Oh, I was on the other
Always
side
west
of
of
Pacific.
Pacific.
Where the walk street, where that party was every year.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny. God, I haven't thought about that in forever. All right.
So
enough of
that's
that.
home to me. Venice Beach, California is the greatest place in the whole world. Except the rents are out of control right now.
Yeah.
What's it like now? We moved 2 years ago to this
A little
place.
over 2 years
'Cause
ago,
It was
yeah.
Rents have
Silicon
doubled
Beach had
since then.
moved in, and it was crazy. It was going on then already. They were
Because
tearing down every garage and putting up a 4-story, $6 million place.
Yeah, basically because I used to work in advertising, like in production, directed, producers, commercials. So entertainment people first gentrified Venice, and then tech people came in because Google moved into sort of Santa
Yes.
Monica Venice border.
Well, we made it.
And they came in, but then Snap came in,
There
and
it
they destroyed. If you have
So much
Snapchat,
money.
please delete Snap. Are you sponsored by them?
No, I'm not a fan of any of that shit.
Okay.
I can't stand. I'm like you. I'm one of those. I sort of despise the social media, but realize we need to use it. So I'm trying to like develop a love for it, so that I can kind of.
I videotape myself if somebody has Snap, and I like kind of delete. They're like, I don't use it anymore because nobody uses it. It's a shitty app, and I'll videotape
You ruined
me
Venice.
deleting it off their thing, and Venice people are always like, yeah. They came in. They just their problem is that the guys who owned it wanted to have an office on the beach. The thing is, you don't need all your nerds on the beach because they
Right.
don't integrate. So they ended up.
They could have
getting
had the office on the
16
beach.
16 commercial properties. So they like Nicky's is closed. They closed that down. Like bars and but
Nicky's
art
Market
galleries-
72 or whatever.
No,
it was
Nicky's the bar that was on Market Street.
called? That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Nicky's Market, whatever. It was. They used to have ladies' night. That place.
Yeah, sure,
Okay, no.
sure.
Man,
So-
all of my shit is so dated.
Let's
I remember
talk about
I remember
positive
when
Venice.
it opened.
Let's talk positive.
It's
Venice.
9/11. Let's not get too happy.
Oh wait, in honor of 9/11, can I make a plug?
Please.
For those of you who support Trump, don't forget that he called it 7/11. So here's a big gulp on 9/11 for him.
Called it 7/11. Is that true?
I didn't know that.
He was in 2016. He was doing a campaign stop in Buffalo, New York, and this is the best because it's funnier when you actually read his words. His words are actually way funnier when you read them rather than just hating him.
It's funny you say that. Are you on the Twitter?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I used to do a political show in Edinburgh and it updated every day.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, I had to put not only him on my Twitter, I had to put him on my notifications. So when he tweeted, I would get it, so I could write about it immediately. But
Whoa.
there were times when I ended up pull the phone out so I could quote him properly. And there'd be times in the middle of the show where I told everybody I'd done this, and I go, "Don't do. It's not healthy."
Mm-hmm.
if you're like Mondays suck, but they don't suck as bad as when you wake up and you're like, oh, I tweeted. And during the show, every now and then he'd tweet, and so I would just read them out loud to people, and when you actually just pause and read, you're like, it's funny.
We both used to work with the Daily Show a little bit. Her brother still works there, and we've got some friends who are producers. They came up with this thing called the Donald Trump Library, right? Where they put an installation in. Well, they literally just put up his tweets. Didn't change anything. There's no parody. There's no satire. It's just display.
Yeah,
and it was unbelievable.
Like, printed it out in construction.
It's exactly what you're talking about, but like a museum setup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
crazy pants.
Nuts.
But this is from Buffalo, New York. I had to pull it up because I was like, oh, I got the 7-Eleven cup, and I just love that. He starts his speech with, I wrote this out, and it's very close to my heart because I was down there, and I watched our police and our firemen down at 7-Eleven, down at the World Trade Center right after it came down. I saw the greatest people I've ever seen in action. I just love that it starts with, I wrote this out. It doesn't start with, hey, I'm free-flowing here. Oh, I made a gaffe. He literally said, I wrote this out, and then the next thing is him calling it 7-Eleven. The guy's
that could have been an autocorrect. Maybe he writes 7-Eleven more often.
Yeah. It's fun to find comedy in him. It's hard. It beats me up. All right.
Speaking of
What's the show
numbers,
about? What are we doing?
Let's go to 914 because we found out accidentally during our little pre-interview that you're a big Porsche fan.
You told me that this is like a huge part of your fan base is Porsche people.
Yes.
Love you guys. My very first car ever was a 914.
How cool.
And it was...
You were here on the right week.
It was awesome. And when you told me 914 is a big celebration, wherever it is, I'm going to it. Even though I don't have one anymore.
They're all over. It's going to be all over LA.
It was like, we got it because I turned 16 in 1986, and it was a 79, maybe 80. Can't remember because it was so long ago. Mm-hmm. Black. And with obviously the target top, because I don't think they came any other way. No. But you know where it had that kind of weird kind of almost looked like vinyl or leather on the side.
On the
is
side
what the guy
of the
had done is he'd gotten rid of that, and so it was just all black painted through.
I've seen a few people do that. It's nice.
It was so fun. It broke down all the time. Anybody who has a 914 knows that they break down. I'm one of the few people who's ever owned a 914 where I was able to skid it out and almost wreck it and got it up on two wheels before it came down, because the cars are so low. And it's almost impossible, especially because mine was lowered.
You can't flip.
Mine was lowered, so like stock, they had the shocks in it. The shocks were pulled out, and me and my buddy, we used to do this.
Did you do all that stuff to it? I mean,
no,
it wasn't that way, was it?
There was a guy who lived, because I grew up outside of Philadelphia, like right on the Delaware River in Bucks County, Yardley, Pennsylvania. Shout out to Vince's Pizza. Shout out to Wawa. And,
Wawa Markets, best sandwiches, man.
The best. And there was a guy, because my mom knew that I loved these things, and like the 914 was like probably $5-6 grand fully restored.
Yeah,
fully restored. I went to this place. There's a great place called Checkered Flag Motors. And
right by where you live.
Yeah, I had to get my phone fixed, and I try and stay out of those places because I don't have that money anymore. Like when I worked in advertising. One of the greatest decisions I ever made was not to buy a 911 and buy a Prius instead. We'll talk about that if you want.
Get out.
No, I'll tell you why. Because I was able to quit advertising.
Oh, I see your point.
I was golden handcuffs, and I realized that I test drove this thing. I wanted it. I had the money to buy it. I was like going to get it, and the guy's like, "Yeah, it'll be like $1,500 a month." I'm like, "Yeah, it's nothing.
No problem."
And he goes, "Take it home," and they always tell you take it home because if you take it home, you're never bringing a car back.
Yep.
And I go, "I'll come back. I'll call you tomorrow, and I'll let you know." And I went home and I really looked at my life, and I don't want to stay in advertising forever. And if I do this, I have to.
Wow.
And you can't drive a car like that in LA. Like that car it doesn't move fast. And I went, I was in a Prius the other day. I could do this for $300 a month. I did that. So then I was able to sort of slowly wean myself out of it. And I've had that Prius for 10 years, and I don't give a shit.
So it was 10 years ago that you got out of advertising, production advertising?
Yeah, pretty much.
What did you used to do? Can we say where you used to work or any of that stuff? Or is that
I worked primarily.
I used to do the same work. That's why I'm curious.
I worked primarily, I moved here when I was 25, and I was already working in production in Denver because I went to college in Boulder. And
well, you made your way over here, really.
Yeah, I
you
just kept moving west, and I hit the ocean. I stopped.
Good call.
And I just wanted to direct and produce movies, and I was like, okay, all the directors, producers in Denver that were coming in, they were all coming from either New York, Chicago, or LA for commercials, because you kind of work on whatever there. Whereas LA is very stratified. You work in this, you work in commercials, music videos,
your film, your TV, right?
There, it's like whatever's in town you're working on. But the producers and directors were all coming from LA or New York or Chicago, and I went, you know what? I'm going to go to LA. And I came out here, and within a year I was directing my first music video, and I ended up kind of working my way through the production ranks, coordinator, production manager, producer. and then directing off and on. I worked a lot with NBC in the promotion department. Got to do a lot of stuff like launching the Olympics, launching brand new shows.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
Yeah, that's the big brass ring there.
Yeah, the Olympics.
When you work there. And
no, it's no joke. In production, that's huge. I mean, it's the pinnacle. It's like the Super Bowl.
The craziest thing about the Olympics is nobody knows who these people are, and so between at this point it was like Coca-Cola, Nike, Chevy or whatever the car was, and Kodak and one other massive sponsor and NBC. They had to take these nobodies and make them into superstars that people gave a shit about. Visa, that people gave a shit about. Because who cares about swimming? Nobody cares about it. And then you're like, let's make Michael Phelps a star.
Even back in the 80s, I remember when they would do that, when it was like Nike would sponsor. Remember Dan and Dave? Who was going to Dan and Dave? One of them didn't even make the goddamn Olympics. Yeah. That whole thing flopped.
No, that happens a lot because especially the Winter Olympics, because you're shooting this stuff almost a year out, and it's right at the end of whoever like and they only promote Americans. They're not going to promote like whoever the world champion is. If it's not an American, we don't care. It's rah-rah USA. And so whoever the world champions are in whatever the sport is, we grab them, we shoot them, and then sometimes they don't qualify because they'll hurt themselves over the summer because it's so far out.
Wow.
But I learned, I got two of the craziest quotes of my entire life working with these Olympians. One was this guy, Jim Shea. He's a skeleton, and he won world champion. Skeleton is face first luge.
Yep.
And
one single man luge,
yeah,
right?
Single man luge. And he was instrumental in getting the sport back in the Olympics because his grandfather and his father were Olympians, and he was a bartender in the 30s. And he's like, I need to do something in my life. And he saw this sport that was in the Olympics way back when, and he went, I want to get this back in.
But it was taken out it was unsafe, right? It was unsafe?
It was just taken out because nobody cared about it in like probably the 40s, 50s.
Or because 50 people died one year.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
But they realized that they spend so much money making these bobsled runs that are only good for the bobsled and the luge, and then he was like, look, you can put one more sport in here, and it's extreme as shit. It looks
people are
crazy.
Gonna watch it.
And so he ended up becoming world champion. This was instrumental in getting it back in the Olympics. I believe he won the gold. But I was interviewing him. We shot him up in where were we? We were in Parks, like near Park City, and we're interviewing him. And then that night we're hanging out. And I'm like, hey, come on, man, we're gonna go out and drink. You want to drink? And he goes, you can't go out drinking if you want to be the best in the world.
Huh.
And I was like, oh fuck, he means it. Then the better one I heard was Darren Rawls, world champion downhill skier. We're doing these crazy interviews with him and then intercutting it with ski footage that we did. And so I'm interviewing him, and the camera's always kind of moving around wild. And I go like this. I go, so you're world champion, right? Does that mean you're the best downhill skier in the whole world? And he goes, on that day I was.
Whoa, what a good answer.
And you really realize there's 5 people he competes with
Yep.
on a regular basis. And on that day, he was the best, and those people are the absolute best. And he wasn't being cocky. It was just like, it's a matter of fact for these people.
So that was an eye-opener for you.
And I just went, because I was trying to get something funny out of him.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, on that day I was. And I was like, right now, I still get chills.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the greatest at anything.
No, it's a different level.
Yeah.
Different level. That's wild. And I wouldn't sell yourself short.
No, I'm 6'7". I can't.
Nailed it. I was hoping.
Nailed it.
It was a soft lob. Soft lob.
You put up the layup, I dunked it. Got it.
What kind of kid were you in Pennsylvania? Because I'm loving the adult who's sitting here.
I was a very introverted, skinny kid who did not realize that he had any value in the world. Very insecure.
You were me. That's why I like you. Yeah. Okay, I know that guy.
It wasn't until I turned 16 I started getting drunk with my friends that I was obnoxious, and I realized, people like the funny.
Yep.
And then I realized I learned how to do that in school, and then I became I would say I was a distraction for a lot of my classes because a lot of school came easy to me, and so I was just like, I'm bored, so I'm going to entertain myself, and so
I would get the same thing. All the comments: distraction in class, participates well, pleasure to have.
We're going to hang out.
All this stuff,
ride in your
but
car.
it was like I did no homework, didn't participate. It's awful. Why were you that way? Are you an only child, or did your parents divorce? Like, what was the hell? Why were you feeling so undervalued?
It's just well, I mean, my parents were great at telling me I was awesome and amazing and smart or whatever. Like, there was none of that.
So you even had the support?
Yeah, I mean, my dad left when I was 7, but I still had this full support from my mom. My mom's the greatest person on the planet.
Well, that helps.
And
that helps.
And it's just one of those things because I was so tall and awkward and weird. And when you're like,
were
you're
you
very
always
tall
tall
and lanky. Like I used to be.
I am, yeah.
Like because you're thinner than I am, like build wise.
Yeah.
And when you're really, really tall and you're growing up you grow in spurts, and so if I'm grabbing this glass,
you miss it, right?
Within a week and a half,
or you knock it over. Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, you did it.
Oh my God! I totally.
Wow, you're so good.
I meant to do it as a joke.
That was amazing.
I
That was
didn't
so
know that was a
good.
real glass. I thought this was a prop.
That's so good.
Prop guy.
Don't worry about it. No, it's fantastic. All good.
Letterman's gonna be pissed.
I don't think so.
No.
He's not gonna give a shit.
I don't think he's going to care
I
at all.
thought that was in the trash. I'm trying to grow my Letterman beard. How about that?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that yesterday because we're on a quest to, we got to do Baywatch. Actually, you're sitting right here. Why don't we do it? Hey, it's time for, and that brings us to, it's time to.
I can't believe I just spilled your shit.
Well, I'm trying to get away from it with this segue here, but you want to go back to it?
No,
Want to
no.
spend more?
Baywatch.
Today is 9/11, so we'll just put that here. Although today is the day, of 9/11. Yeah, forget it.
Well, if anybody
So
wants
it's
to
gonna
buy
say
me
some
my
other
dream
stuff.
car, it's sitting at Checkered Flag.
Which one is it?
It's
We were over there the other day.
It's the 1988 black fake turbo.
The M491. Yeah.
And because
Turbo
I
look.
graduated high school in 1988, I had the 914. My goal was to be like Seinfeld and have a collection of nothing but
sure.
Porsches. And by the way, he has the most beautiful 911 I've ever seen. It's this color blue. It's almost this blue, and it's incredible.
He's
Anyway,
got a bunch of. We see him a lot.
You have
yeah.
a show, and I'm just
No, it's
running
great.
through it.
Anyway, we are on a quest to get David Letterman here, and we're actually making a lot of progress. And Mrs. Ryan, we have some news today. Anyway, you made some progress.
I made some progress in the sense of we're being watched by someone else that knows.
Also from the same Dave camp.
Yes, who's much closer to that camp than I realized.
Oh, great.
So, and we had a really great conversation, and then a call later today with some press people.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
So, ironically, we are trying to get David Letterman here.
Well, the interesting thing is, I used to play a game with my brother where it was called "We're Searching for David Lee Roth." So it's a different day. And every day we'd go out, and anytime somebody goes, "Oh, I saw David Lee Roth like 2 weeks ago. He was hanging out at like Crazy Girls, like a strip club or something," we would stalk that place for like 2 weeks.
Till the next time he would come in.
Yeah, and so
He was at Guitar Center yesterday.
Yeah. I met him, and he's my spirit animal. Like he's a lunatic. And
Yeah, but he's
my
all
goal is to have him on my podcast, or just to hang out with him for like longer than I got to. That
Nice
one time.
segue. You just started a podcast.
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called "I Am What I Am," like Popeye the Sailor
Popeye.
Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can I get that and put that in my?
You betcha.
I have a friend who does one of the most.
Luckily,
amazing,
we recorded all of this, so.
My buddy does one of the most amazing Popeye impressions ever, and he does it with the most filthy shit. And I was like, but he's a cop now, and I'm like, can you just record a bunch of that and send it to me? I want to
Just
make
the
an opening.
Popeye gibberish, right?
And he just ignores it. I'm like, come on.
I'm a cop. I'm not doing this for you.
So yeah, it's called "I Am What I Am," and I wanted to call it "I Am What I Am," but apparently that's a religious podcast. So anybody who's stumbling into the wrong one is going to be mad one way.
I
or the
am
other.
what I am.
I am what I am with like the
Yam, like the vegetable?
yeah.
Oh, so that's what yours is?
Yeah, because the other one is taken.
Oh my gosh, that's a brilliant. Of course.
Yeah,
So
but-
it's I yam what I am.
Yeah,
Is it 2 yams or just 1
but
yam?
it's
I am
you
what
gotta
I
do both.
am.
It's 2 yams.
Okay, that's
It's
awesome.
it's a whole plate of
I'm not
starch.
making fun of it. I'm trying to understand it.
But that's what it is when Popeye says it, when they print it out, it is yam. It's not am.
Because of his own
'Cause
Popeye
he's like, I
gibberish.
am what I am, 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 what I am.
That's
what
brilliant.
am I? I'm Popeye.
Oh, you're
Sailor
doing it
Man.
from the movie.
Yeah.
Ray Walston.
But if you see it at any print, even from way back, like one of the first ones ever released by whatever the animation company was, it was called "I Am What I Am," spelled out like the.
This seems like a ridiculously silly question now
Mm-hmm.
with what you just said, but are you a bit of a Popeye fan?
No,
Because I grew up as a Popeye fan. I loved the movie. I loved the cartoon when I was a kid.
Well, then
little kid.
you'll love the opening, because right now I've stolen him doing that song. Like
It's
Popeye.
Robert Altman did the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing.
It's amazing. It's one of those movies that people did not appreciate it when it came out, and when you go back to it, it's
The
unbelievable.
people in it. Shelley Duvall is in it.
Yeah.
And that guy.
That guy.
I can't remember. I
Robin?
don't think he was actually famous. Who played the Brutus character, the Bluto character?
Oh, yeah,
But
Blue.
he was so creepy and scary looking. I'm mean. You know what I mean?
Shelley
Yeah.
Duvall's a tall, skinny lady from The Shining.
like
right?
Oliver.
The Shining, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
she
makes
was-
sense.
There couldn't be anyone else.
Great
to cast for
casting.
Yeah. So it's called that, and then the weird thing is,
But why Popeye though? Why? Where did that come
Because
from?
I wanted "I Am What I Am,"
Oh, I see. It was
and
just.
and it was taken, and then I went, oh, I do love Popeye, but this is why this is why it's become incredible.
But it could have been the Olive Oil Diaries. You know, I mean, it could have been anything.
You know how like things just sort of fall into place, or you put a meaning into
yeah.
something, and later you realize, oh, that totally worked out.
You know it. Yep.
Here's what's happened, right? So it's called "I Am What I Am," and I interview people who've gone through career changes usually, like comedians, but I'm trying to stay out of just because interviewing comics, too much of that.
Yeah.
So I'm interviewing like my friends from the production world, like this guy David Jellison, who he was a bass player in Rat. He was actually for Van Halen. He was their tour manager. He used to sew David's wig on.
Oh,
and
my
then I
goodness
met him
gracious.
because he was the first AD on one of the first shoots I ever did here, and now he's a commercial director. Funny guy. So I'm like, I want to introduce these people to the world more than comedians. Comedians help me get listeners, but
It's very similar to what we're doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
so
And you get to the origin stories and then the
yeah.
root of what was the change for those people sometimes.
And the idea is once you hit your 30s, 40s, is you care what you think about yourself. You care what your select group of people around you think about you. But otherwise, you're like, I don't give a shit what this person thinks. That person means nothing to me. Whatever they're thinking, they're not even thinking about us.
Yep.
When you realize nobody's even thinking about you.
Yeah.
You get the ego out of the way.
So it's about that. But so I put myself on this. I have a friend. He's Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret. He asked me if I wanted. I'm doing a fast version. He asked me if I wanted to jump out of an airplane with the Golden Knights, who are the Army skydive team.
Holy crow.
And I
this
said-
is the skydive story?
Yes.
This is not I'm going to Paris to do skydive Elsinore.
Yeah. So
Paris, California.
he goes, do you want to do this? And I go, yeah. What's the age limit? No age limit because I'm 49. Height limit? No height limit. Get on there. Granted, they have long legs. And I go, weight limit? There's weight limit. And he goes, oh yeah. I'll get back to you. He comes back. He goes, 225. And I go, well,
That's more than I would have thought even. I thought 200.
and people are like, why is there a weight limit? Because when you tandem, you're strapped onto somebody, and that person actually has to take the majority of the fall, and you don't want to break that person's legs, crush them.
All of the
Exactly.
above. They have to have operating control.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't be too much to manage.
Well, the thing is, I mean, they can drop Hummers and tanks, so they can drop any amount of weight. The thing
No,
is,
the guy.
Yeah.
The guy on your back, though.
Yeah. Well, you
Unless
say,
he's bigger
by
than
the way,
you.
we always say somebody's on my back. You're on his stomach. You're a baby Bjorn because he's
Have
got
you
the
done it?
Yeah, I've tandemed once, and I've done a solo.
Oh, you've
once.
solo. Oh, I've tandem a couple times, but I've never solo.
Solo's terrifying.
I can't.
I mean, terrifying.
I don't know if I'd get out. I don't know if I'd do it.
Skydive. Well, they'll push you out. Is skydiving? They do.
Come on, be a bud. Be a pal.
No, I talked to the guy because what happens when you go out on your first solo is let me finish.
Sorry,
when
go
you do
ahead.
your first
Sorry,
solo,
segues, go ahead.
One instructor gets out of the plane and he's hanging on the outside of the plane because there's bars and stuff there, and he's holding onto your harness, and there's an instructor inside holding onto your harness. And when you go out of the plane, all three of you guys go together, and then they're with you while you run through a couple drills, and then you pull your own chute, and then they fuck off.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say that.
Sure.
They take off, and they keep falling. Let's say that. But then all of a sudden you slow down, and like even when you tandem, how thrilling was it when all that wind's going through your 120
Oh, yeah.
miles per hour? It's like,
You
and
think
then
you're
when
gonna
the
be afraid
chute
of
hits, it
falling.
goes. It's like sailing. It's silent, and then you look down and you go, "Oh Christ, I'm high," because now you have time to think.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh Christ, I'm high," and I'm by myself. And so one of my instructors races to the ground. He looks up, finds my parachute because all parachutes actually you can
Color-coded,
identify them.
numbered, yeah.
And then he goes, all right, he has a walkie. He's like, turn left, turn right so I can see that your chute works and that you can hear me. And he's like, you're off course. They kind of steer you in.
You're on radio. You can hear this.
They put a little
Okay.
walkie here. So you don't talk back. He's just he's like,
Giving you instructions.
yes. But you signal to him by
He sees what you're doing if he can hear you.
sort of the way, planes will flap their wings by a
Beautiful.
control tower.
Tip
so
a
they-
wing. Beautiful.
So, anyway, my buddy offers me this chance to fall out of an airplane. By the way, stop saying jump. Nobody jumps out of an airplane unless you're expert. Like the guys who are running and jumping out, they're jumping out. When you're tandeming, you're falling out. So I get this opportunity to do this for free. And 225 is the limit. I'm 6'7". It's not a lot of weight for 6'7".
No.
I was
You
260.
look like me at 6'7",
Yeah.
I think, at 225.
I was 262, and I said, I'm 37 pounds out. And he goes, well, if you got 2 months, lose the weight, fatty. And I went, easy for
And
you
you
to
want
say.
to do it?
Green Beret. Oh, I've always wanted. I needed to lose the weight, and I'd already said to people I got to lose weight, and he's just like, I just start eating right, stop drinking every night, stop going to McDonald's, start working out,
all the obvious stuff, really.
and I was like, yeah, whatever. And so I joined Gold's Gym because I'm Venice, right?
Oh, of course, yeah, the original.
So this
Kinda.
homeless-looking guy looks like the homeless people just moved into the gym, and so I was 262, worked out for a week, and he goes, "How much you lose?" I'm like 2 pounds, and he goes, "That's not going to work." And he's
We're not on target. We are not on target.
He's in charge of the recruiting for all Southern California. So all the recruiting stations answer to him. He answers the
Oh,
Pentagon. And so he goes, I'm like, can you give me some Green Beret training? Thinking he'd go work out with me. And he's like, I don't have time for this. But,
to boot 30 pounds off you?
yeah. But he goes, I do have people who do. And so now on Wednesdays, I work out with the recruiting station. So I work out with the Army on Wednesdays.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
And so everybody who works at the recruiting station, like the Captain Chong and Staff Sergeant Aguilara and Sergeant Trejo, who's actually on the field work, they all know why I'm there. They all think it's cool. They're so. My buddy has like when he puts on his dress uniform, it's medals like this, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's new to being the recruiting guy, right? Because new guy cycles through every 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And the guys who are recruiting there are like, "You're his friend." He's so impressed. And I go, "Yeah, it's crazy. He's got medals all over his chest." And the guy goes, "All over his chest, dude. They go around over his back." Like they're so impressed that guy with this level is dealing with recruitment. So they love that I'm his homeless-looking friend. And
you keep saying that. You look very kept to me. I mean, other than the fact that you have a beard.
Hold on, this is what I look like.
I mean, if you're going for... Oh, okay. Well, that's a fair bit more.
I lost weight, too.
You're walking around in Venice.
I took a shower.
I get the Nick Nolte down and out in Beverly Hills thing, but...
Okay. So I go in, and they're all Team Bronze because they're like, he's going to jump out of the plane. Oh, my God, you get to go with the Golden Knights. Golden Knights are a big deal for the Army, guys.
Yeah.
And so every Wednesday, they train with what are called pre-recruits. These are the kids who they're going to go into the Army, but they don't get shipped off yet. And they, they might be finishing high school or college.
Oh, my gosh.
Or
children.
Also because it used to be 25% of kids coming out of high school were overweight, and they were ineligible. They couldn't even meet the qualifications to
get
go
into
to
the
boot
program.
camp.
Okay.
And because America has a massive obesity problem, and we don't fund physical education anymore,
Right.
it is now 50% of kids.
We don't fund physical education anymore? I didn't know that. Did not
It's
know
not
that.
in schools?
Well, it is, but it's not like it used
Not-
to be. You
not
know what I
like
mean?
it
Like
used
it's
to
not.
be.
There used to be
It's like
certain
it's like
requirements
the arts
had to meet.
went away first, and
Yes.
phys ed's kind of
Yeah.
going away.
No kidding.
And and kids are inactive now, and everybody's
Well, it's
eating
wild.
what I
It's
ate, which is McDonald's.
And we watch Wall-E, and that's the future they're going towards,
Yeah.
just floating around on a big fat chair.
Yeah. And so it's something like almost 50% of kids are ineligible, so they take these kids and help them. There's a kid there in 2 months, he lost 53 pounds. Crazy.
Whoa.
Well,
Because
you're
he-
on target for that.
Yeah. So I'm working out. So this is my favorite because I'll tell the number in a second. Today's a big day. And so everybody who works there, everybody in their camo, they know who I am and why I'm there. I'm the civilian, which is also funny because they call civilians sir, right? Everybody who's civilian when they talk to you is sir, sir, sir.
Which is its own weird thing.
Its own weird thing. Like I just giggle. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
sir. I said that to my buddy. I'm like, dude, every time they call you sir, do you giggle? And he's just like, just go work out. And so, you know who doesn't know who I am? The 19-year-old kids. The 19-year-old kids are sitting there getting ready to go off, and they look down the line and they see this 6'7" at this point 262-pound guy who looks like this, and they're like, well, apparently the Army's gonna take anybody.
I would have thought you're one of the new genetically modified people.
Yeah.
Look at the height of that guy. That's one of the new machines.
We're good.
Yeah.
But so today marks the 5th week. Actually, today we don't have because today's Wednesday. But today, for
This is the
whatever
one
reason,
Wednesday you don't have a boot.
they've canceled it. But I was going to do my weigh-in today. I did my weigh-in this morning, and as of today, I'm officially 30 pounds down in 5 weeks. Yeah,
Congratulations.
and
all
well
done
on
health.
target to meet your goal.
on target. But I'm not getting cocky about it because it's like last week I actually plateaued and I stopped, and then I have. Because of my podcast, which is how this all started, I was talking to Leo Flowers, amazing comedian, but he's also a personal trainer. I'm in the middle of my thing about his life changes, and all of a sudden I went, dude, when we're done with this, I need 15 minutes with you for a separate podcast, and it's just going to be about personal training, no life, And so then I started interviewing all these personal trainers, nutritionists. If you want to start a hobby and you want to be an expert immediately, start a podcast about it. The most expert people will talk to you for free, give you free lessons.
This is
So
true.
I've been talking to all these people, and I was talking to my friend Stacia. She's a comedian, also a personal trainer. A lot of personal trainer comedians.
It seems.
And I go, listen, I
Hang out in
plateaued. I need to do a crash diet. I need to get my plateau started. And she goes, well, it's really unhealthy to do these things. Like, you can do it slowly. And I go, I don't want to do it slowly. I want to get under the weight and sit there for a week so that I'm fine. And she goes, it's really not healthy to do this. And I go, okay, disclaimer, she's not advising this. And then she goes, okay, I'm not advising this, but here's how you do it. It's going to suck, but here's a crash diet. I did it, and 2 days later, I was down 4 pounds.
Wow.
So it's possible, but she's totally like, I don't want my name on this
Yeah,
thing.
no, there's all sorts of.
And I'm like, it's a disclaimer. It's not healthy, but how do I do it?
there's so many movie star little tricks and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
So that's my thing. I'm 30. I had to lose 37. I'm
pounds.
30 down as of today, and it sucks that I'm not doing the training today because I do my official weigh-ins with them, where I really like because they have a fully like a really expensive $2,000 scale or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
That's like
And then
spot
it's
on. But it's also in there.
right now. There's an asterisk on your 30 pounds. I know what you mean.
And I don't know, but you feel.
It's got to feel good though, right? And then, do you physically feel better?
Oh, unbelievable! Because I was drinking like a crazy person, doing drugs like a crazy person.
You live in Venice.
Yeah, Venice is every
We
day.
drank a lot in
It's
Venice.
It's permanent spring break in Venice. It's the best place in the world, but you also you can get sucked into the party. And I was, and then you get sucked into the depression of a party, and you wake up every day hungover, so you don't do anything, which makes you more depressed. It's a downward spiral. But by having 5 weeks with no hangovers, and eating healthy, and actually doing, physically fit stuff, so there's nothing involved, and there's nothing messing up my dopamine creation or receptors or serotonin uptake, which is what real drugs do. Because I was doing everything, and
He's like, you don't even know.
Name a drug, and in the last 3 years I did it. So, so having none of that stuff in my brain is all of a sudden you're just happy all the time. Like I've had sad moments, but no depression since this happened, because that's sad is a normal thing to experience, to go through.
It's actually a good thing. I like it.
But when I come home from the gym, my roommate, she works out all the time, and she loves coming in and be like, I did spin, and I crushed it. I was in the top 4. Like, there's 40 people. I was in the top 4. Like, I'm always hearing her gym stories. So I go into her bedroom. I'm like, oh, my God, listen to this. So I did like 20 minutes on the elliptical, and then I went out and did PT. PT is what we call in the Army. That's physical training. And then I did some crunches, and then I was doing burpees. Burpees are hard. And I'm going like this. And finally she goes, dude, you need to calm down. You talk less when you're on coke. Go in your room, do some coke, come back when you are mellow.
Wow.
But yeah, so
Holy
like
shit.
I've learned.
Well, your
now that I'm in this,
synapses
I'm
are
already starting to do
probably
it.
firing so rapidly now compared to what normal.
I feel like I'm 22 again. Like that weird attitude.
What about other things like well, it sounds like your energy for sure, but
Yeah, I wake
like,
up.
like your skin,
no ED
like things
anymore.
Like okay, well, congratulations.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, that's not what you meant?
I mean anything. I don't know.
No, like my skin feels better.
I quit drinking. We quit drinking like 5-6 years ago, something like that, for just health reasons. When she was going through everything, it was like you said. Like,
I thought you were just hammered.
It was like you
Not
can't
anymore.
It was like this skiing guy was like, you can't be the number one. You can't be good at whatever. And it was just like, yeah, what the fuck are we doing? So we both knocked it out.
Yeah.
But life changed. I mean, life totally changed. You're the whole bit. The chemistry, like I think you're saying now, is. I don't know. The synapse for me started firing, and just different connections were made in hallways I didn't realize were even accessible. Blah blah blah, stuff like that. Like I took like an LSD trip and like unlocked my brain, which I've never done acid. I've never done anything.
Do mushrooms. Mushrooms are great.
I've heard that. I'm allergic to regular mushrooms, so I've always been afraid to.
Yeah, maybe you were getting there.
So yeah, So maybe it's time.
Yeah, I'll be back on September 24th. September 24th, I'm going to celebrate my landing, and then I'm going to McDonald's to get chicken McNuggets, and then a Hanana burger. These are on the list. Then my brother lives right next. He lives like 2 blocks away from the best donut in LA that I found. So I'm going to go there the next day and get sugar, because I've cut sugar way down. Like all my sugar is now coming from fruits and vegetables and.
That's its own benefit too.
Yeah,
getting all that inflammation out.
So the first couple of days are going to be a disaster, and then I'm like, all right, now that I'm waiting, let's do this properly.
So where are you going to jump? Where is this going to occur?
It's somewhere. There's a massive army base in California that's sort of between. It's basically like west of Solvang, so north of Santa Barbara. You know where Solvang is, like where wine country is.
Yeah, no.
Apparently, it starts.
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot.
Close to there, so I'm staying in Solvang the Monday night, and then Tuesday morning 7 a.m. jump, which is somewhere near
out
there.
It's so wild.
Well, I think there's a massive military base, but you don't see it because it looks like it's just farm ranch country. But it's like we don't see it from the 101.
Gotcha. It's not like
there.
The one Rosemead or whatever, Rosamond, when you're going to the racetrack out there and you pass everything from Independence Day. That's where that El Toro. That's where that one is.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that'll be fun.
I'm excited because everybody's like, "Oh my God, are you terrified of jumping?" I'm like, I was terrified of dying of a heart attack in the gym for the first week.
Do you know what altitude you're going to be at?
No idea.
Wow. So I mean, this could be some sick secret stuff like you don't even know yet.
No, it's
not going to be a 10,000 foot jump.
Yeah, I think don't you normally jump at 10, 15,000?
I think 12 and a half is what we did at Elsinore.
Yep.
You know why I think that? Because my first jump ever I did in Colorado, so you're already starting a mile up.
Yeah.
But your free fall is very short when you do it in Colorado because
Yeah.
there's only so much because
The ground's closer.
yeah they only want to take you so high. But it's nothing extreme. I mean, like it's a publicity stunt for the Army, and I realize that I'm now doing publicity for.
So they're going to capture all this. They're going to record it and whatever.
Yeah, like if you look up the Golden Knights on Instagram, there's all these images of like weather people.
So this is like going to fly with the Blue Angels type of thing. Like, oh, you're getting the opportunity.
And then they put it online, and I realize I'm being used as a PR tool to go, hey, look, if you join the Army, you might get to jump out of a plane with a comedian, or the Rams cheerleaders are going to be in the same plane with me. And so
Totally
like,
plausible. Totally plausible.
like I do appreciate the people in the service. I don't appreciate their overall mission, depending on who's running the place.
Right.
But it's like the individuals I've met who are in the service are unbelievable. You know.
Same.
Yeah,
And
same here. She's been Afghan. You went to. She did some a USO tour to Afghanistan.
I've never done any of the overseas tours. I did a USO show down in Long Beach because it was mini Fleet Week, Pacific Fleet Week, which is tiny compared to New York.
New York one's what I grew up with.
And the last minute, somebody
Sounds
booked me in
terrible.
there, and it was all these dudes and little growls, little kids wearing these white, sailor uniforms, which is also funny to look at them.
I am what I am.
Yeah, and I because all I'm talking about on stage is this whole crazy weight loss thing because it's taken over my life.
Oh.
And I've made it funny. And way funnier than I told it because I'm actually trying to.
But
pull
it's
the punches,
over
so
to overcoming your act as well. That's
it's,
awesome.
It's just taking because I host a show every week, and so everybody sees me every week. So it's like whatever's happening in my life is what I want to talk
right.
about.
Instead of doing prepared
Yeah.
material, you're just that's awesome. Makes perfect sense.
So you have to address.
So you wrote this out.
No, it's not written out. It's just I've
Look, I
talked
wrote
through
this
it every
out.
single night. But I'm up there, and I was talking about my how I'm doing this insane thing with the Army, and all these Navy guys and Marine guys, and there was a couple Army people and a couple Air Force people in the room, but they loved it because I was talking about their life, whereas a lot of comics just go in and do their material. And I'm hoping because some of the USO people were like, they loved you, and I go, yeah, well, I'm talking about their life, but it's my life, and I'm an idiot from the outside, like pretending PT. That's what we call it in the Army. I'm not in the Army.
Yeah, we in the Army.
Yeah, and so they were like, we want you to do more events. So hopefully I get to do that, and I would, if anybody's listening has any pull with like the Armed Service Entertainment, love to go on the road.
It's great.
Is it
Anything relatable.
Armed Forces Network, is that one, or is it the same thing? Armed Forces Entertainment.
I know there's USO, which is separate from. I think it's. I think it is AFE, Armed Service Entertainment.
Gotcha.
I think that's the tour people, but then I think they have the networks and the radios and.
Oh, okay. So there is multiple things. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have a really random question that may or may not be you. Were you on Baywatch? Here's a credit of a guy with a name. No, but finally, there may be just a Bronson.
Wait, do you think I look that good? Really?
No, there
is this workout plan? Yeah, that's right.
There's
Me and Mitch, we hang out on the beach.
Mitch Baywatch. There may be a Bronson Jones, perhaps, without the T then, perhaps. But there was one guy with just one credit, and he's not pictured or anything. I was like, wouldn't it be great, especially if you're hanging out on the beach all the time?
Yeah.
And I used to record that shit right on Santa Monica in Venice.
No, I was
Okay.
never.
No, you were not on Baywatch.
Here's the thing: I'm not an actor. Like I don't pursue. Like I want to be a stand-up comedian. I love that. If I act,
didn't
it's to
fit
promote
either.
acting.
It didn't
or to
fit the
promote
guy I
stand-up.
was having the conversation with, but I wanted to know. Because if you were on Baywatch, that would be awesome.
You never know.
That would be
Just
fun.
because it's Baywatch.
I have a friend. She was a star in Baywatch Hawaii, but that's not
Really?
the same.
The last season?
Yeah. So, no, I was not on Baywatch.
All right.
But
Have you ever acted? Have you ever wanted to act? It seems like
I don't want to be like a lot of comedians want to be actors. Like,
But-
there's a great Carlin quote because people said he sold out in the '80s when he had that. There was some weird show he had where he was playing a taxi driver. It was a terrible show, terrible sitcom, horrible use of him, but he was a star. And people were like, "You sold out," and he goes, "No, I'm anything I do that's not stand up is to promote myself so more people see me do stand up. And so if I do anything, like I've acted in some things,
Yeah.
it's to get people to come
Funneling the
to
other
my
way.
stand up. It's to promote that. Where I know a lot of people who want to be movie stars, and I'm like,
I didn't think you would,
yeah.
but coming from production and that whole background. Somebody
Coming
who wants to
from-
produce and direct generally is not going to want to be an actor.
I'll tell you what's crazy because I've been on some sets like with this look. I've actually booked stuff based off pictures because they want somebody like I've played a king twice.
I think you're the only one surprised. I think you look great. I
No,
like
no,
your
no,
whole
I'm
look.
I'm saying with this look, it's like it's castable for medieval times. Like Game of Thrones has
Royal,
made this
regal,
look important.
I could certainly see,
which
yes.
I just did it, but all of a sudden, like this, I got an agent just to go try and make money, and he's like, "Dude, I got you this job. Just send me a picture of what you looked like 2 days ago or whatever." And I'm like, "I can just picture me on stage." And he sends it in. And they're like, "Yeah, that's the look." And then they put a crown on me and stuff. And twice, 2 separate things.
That's pretty funny.
So
Well, that's funny. I wasn't even intending to go anywhere, but you are actually acting, even though you don't want to be an actor.
well, it's not my dream, but I will tell you, it's coming from, especially from producing and directing, where you are hands on all day, every day. Like there's no free time as a director or a producer because you're constantly dealing with people's. Like it may look like you're not doing anything,
Everyone
but
else is
you
doing
are.
a department. You're overlooking all of those departments.
And coming from having spent 15 years of my life working in production, running some of the craziest music videos where it's like, you're constantly just, everybody's lighting a fire and you're putting it out all over, is I get on these sets as an actor where I have no authority, no charge, and I'm just watching people make mistakes that I'm like, that's going to cost them an hour and about an hour and a half. And I'm like, none of my...
And you don't have to, there's no skin in the game. Like you don't have to worry about it.
Only time I open my mouth, because it's also like, I know how annoyed I'd be if some actor came up to me and said, "Yeah, you know what you're doing over, you should move that truck over here." They'd be like, "Fuck off."
GFI.
The only time I do it is when I'm actually on the set and the AD. I was on one music video and it was crazy. Like this AD and the producers, like they were doing a great job, but it was chaos because everything was thrown together.
Just how it is, how
it's
it
a
works.
music video.
Yep.
But a high budget music video, which was strange. It was done by like a big commercial company, which I was like, I didn't even know they did these, but I think as a new director and they're just trying to get him out there.
Okay.
So yeah, all these crew people, I'm like, these people are way too old to be working on music videos. But something was going on. The AD was talking to the actors, but he was kind of being dismissive because he's getting pulled in directions left and right.
Yeah.
And it's the only time I open my mouth where I go, it'd be really cool if you give us a verbal cue once the camera went around there, because we can't really see it. And I went into production mode, and like you can see him immediately go, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And so he doesn't need to know my back, but it's that instant click of like, oh, he's right, as opposed to fuck you, actor. This is the funniest thing that happened on the first music video.
Perhaps it's because you waited for your moment. By the way, you were very respectful. It sounds.
Well,
like.
it's something that involved me. Mm-hmm. And I was there, and I'm like, this involves me.
We can make this better.
And so I need the verbal cue because I can't see. And then, but I was also talking about what was happening back there. And so
just mean like the way you came about it, the way you went about it. You're very respectful. You weren't just like, this doesn't make sense. I'm calling my union.
I've got a solution. I don't give a shit about problems.
There you go. Boom. Oh God.
This is my favorite part. So the first music video I was on, it was all 25-year-old kids. You know what I mean? Like when I came out at 25, started working on music video. Music video is a young person's game. Yeah. And there are these grips doing what they always do, where they have the sandbag dolly, and they got a couple sandbags in it, and one of the grips is sitting on it because those are comfortable as shit. Yeah. And these young kids who were like PAs, they're talking to them, getting life advice, and these kids are like, "Oh yeah, sometimes we work 16 hours." I'm like, "We used to work 24 hours, you pussies." And I had 24-hour days all the time in the 90s, no problem. And
were you doing union work? I'm assuming all that.
The music video was all non-union.
No, right, but when you were doing the Olympics and all that stuff, that was union stuff, probably, right?
Depending on which project.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. And but as far as directing, most of it was non-DJ. I did a few, but
okay.
I don't pay them dues.
Just asking.
But these kids are like 27 holding court with these 21-year-olds and talking about like the business. And I would go, I remember being that, right? And I was like, God, they're so young and full of dreams, and they're all going to quit this specific part of the business in about 2 years because they're burnt out because it burns you out fast.
Yep.
And then
that guy's going into real estate. That girl over there is going to probably become a craft service for something else.
And so I'm the old king in this thing. Everybody else is these hot 20-somethings, right? And the wardrobe and the like, it was beautiful what they had created with no money. You know what I mean? Okay. Like amazing, and just so many hot guys and girls, young youth. And I'm just like, as I'm looking at these kids, I'm like, God, they're so young and just naive. And then they called rap. Right, or they rapped me and half the actors, and so I go down. I'm talking to the producer. I've been talking to him all day because he knows my backstory that I used to do this for a living. You know, I've worked on Nas videos, and like these people that they're like, you worked with who? And I'm like, yeah. And so I'm talking to him, and I go, oh, by the way, nobody had me sign a release. So I should do, because he paid me. And I go, and he goes, oh, great. All right, here's yours. Go fill it out. So I'm standing on the back of this car filling it out, and he gets on the walkie, and he's like telling the PAs, come down here now. And he's like, oh my God, have any of the actors left? We haven't, because he's overwhelmed, right? We haven't had him do this. Can you get them all? And
Get them all back.
And the kid goes, yeah, everybody's still here. Except for that older looking gentleman. He left. And I go, I'm not older looking. I'm twice all your age.
Straight up old.
But it was so weird because I'm like looking at them as youth the whole time, and they're then just to literally hear it come out of their face, the older looking gentleman. I'm like, oh, I'm 49.
Yeah, that was pretty polite.
Yeah, it's really polite.
Yeah, the old dude.
That's what I would say.
Gosh, that's amazing.
So,
what do you think about your experience here today? I know you didn't know what to expect. How has this been?
I love the set is cool. This place is awesome. You two are fantastic human beings.
Thanks, dude.
Somehow or another, we seem to have wrapped into a real synergy with starting with the Venice conversations that led to the Marina Peninsula.
Yeah, I'm throwing the card out. I mean, I asked about your childhood a little bit, but like, who cares?
then led into, you said Porsche people, and
Yeah.
I'm like, my first
And your
car
first
ever
car.
is a 914.
And your favorite car ever?
My dream car, because it was my dream car when I was 18. Who doesn't want their high school dream car? Is the anybody who's listening who is a Porsche person, I've got a secret for you. It's not really a secret because the guy told me about it within knowing him for an hour, so I'm sure all the Porsche people know.
Okay.
Is that checkered flag? They have a beautiful red 1989 911 Speedster, 49 miles on it.
Wow.
Somebody bought it, put it in his garage. It's been titled, but never registered because it never left the garage. And so now they're pulling all the rubbers and been putting on new piping and everything.
New gaskets and all this
stuff. But basically, it is a 100% brand new 1989 Speedster. And I was like, holy crap, what's that going to go for? And he goes, I don't know yet, but it's probably like 300, 400 grand.
Oh, I don't know either.
And I
It's a
go,
lot.
and what are they going to do with it? And he goes, whoever gets is going to put it in a museum.
Yeah.
And I go like this: if anybody wants to give me 300 or 400 grand, I will actually fucking drive that thing every day.
Do you know who Mark Brazil is? He created that 70s show. He's a comedian. He used to have one of those cars. He used to have a bunch of Porsches when he was working on that 70s show. But he used to have that specific car. And I think it got stolen or something. There's some story behind it. But it's a rare car to begin with. It's highly coveted. Totally cool as heck.
49
miles.
Like literally, it has the dealership test drive miles, take it home miles. That's it.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable.
And whatever the shakedown miles from Germany, from like back then when they used to check them out.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like it's a car that's never been driven, and that's incredible. So wait, I did mention Seinfeld for 1 second. So when I was in my production days, I worked on I'm Telling You for the Last Time, which was his HBO special.
I remember that when he retired all the material.
Yeah, and I didn't work on the live shoot, which was in New York. I worked on he threw a funeral for his material.
Yeah, I remember that out here with all the famous people.
That was because I was a sort of open mic comic, and I was
Gary Shandling, right?
There was a
bunch of people.
Shandling, Carlin, George Wallace.
Yes.
Paul Reiser was there. Larry Miller.
It's all shot very tight. I remember it's just the people around the coffin, and you don't really even see the casket. I think
there's all these jokes cool. like I forget who it was. Somebody reaches in and Shandling reaches in and he pulls one of the little because it's all like piece of paper in a coffin. And he pulls one out and Jerry goes, "What?" And he goes, "You're not using it anymore." And it's all these inside jokes with comics, but as an open micer, I'm literally looking at the living legends going, I want to be in that group someday.
Yeah.
But here's what the thing is. So we shot 1 day at a graveyard and then 2 days on Universal lot. And Jerry, because he had all of his cars in L.A. because he was just ending Seinfeld.
Yep.
And he had them all at Santa Monica Hangar. And he drove in on day one with a 911 Turbo that I've never seen that color. It's literally the most beautiful Porsche I've ever seen in my life. Right? And it's the car too. Actually, he drove in that on day two. Day one, he drove in a Boxster.
It was new at the
Boxsters
time.
had been out for a year and a half, so you're kind of like, yeah, poor man's Porsche.
Yeah.
His license plate was Box 1. It's the first one off the assembly line.
There you go.
It's the first one.
First Boxster ever made.
Okay, that one, I'll accept that. But he drove it in the first day and the third day. I'm like, dude, you've already bought it. But what was weird is, so like everybody comes in and they're like, oh, and then they realize the story and you're like, oh, that is a cool car. That's because of its
provenance.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not a cool car. But that's a specific, that individual car is cool. Other than that, piece of shit.
There's a fact that makes it cool.
And then his second day, he drove in that blue one I'm telling you about. And what was crazy is you saw every
Was it
group.
the dark blue one?
No, it's almost this color blue. It's almost
the one you were talking about before. Okay.
Yeah, it's this. I've never seen another Porsche like it. And it had like the red, like it had the 5. What are the
the harness, seatbelt
had the
harness.
full seatbelt, 5-point harness, seatbelt.
So it was a race car setup.
It had racing brakes, with the red looking. They look like Ferrari brakes, but they say Porsche on them.
Yep.
And it was so, because in that car, just the sound of it coming in, and it was every single guy on that crew. I don't give a shit what department they in. They all just kind of wandered over and were just looking at this.
What's this?
Unbelievable car. And you could just see in Jerry's face, just because he might be a billionaire at this point. He might be the most famous, but he's now in his element. So I think he's going to end up with that red car. And it was just the look on everybody's face of like, I've never seen this, and nobody was angry that all fucking work stopped for about 5 minutes while just everybody's like, this thing, and he's just giving the tour of the car, like, well, look at the brand.
And we don't know exactly what it was, but some
it was a
some
Turbo
old
S.
vintage.
I don't know what year it was, but it was 911 Turbo S, and I'm sure someone of your fans probably they've definitely seen it. Why would he have to sell stuff?
Hang on. I bet it's Zuckerman's car. I bet it's Zuckerman's car now.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a it might be Gulf blue. It's like a pale baby blue, but it's a modern car, 997 with turbo, with the inlets and the wing and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
I wouldn't say baby blue, because it's coral blue. Is that a color? Is there a coral blue?
I don't know.
It's literally, I'm going to tell you, from ogling Porsche since I was 9 years old, because my uncle had a 911 red, and so it was like turbo.
Oh, so you had one in the family.
So in 79, it was like, I thought this is the coolest car ever. And, I grew up outside of Philly. There's not a lot of these. That's the weird thing about moving to LA is cool cars.
Everywhere.
You're like, who gives a shit? And because when I had money and I was like, I'm going to buy the coolest car, you realize you cannot outcar people here.
Doesn't matter.
So that's why I bought a Harley, so I can customize it, because now it's just mine.
We've reached the part where we do a billboard. This is where we talk about how you can be found and if you've got social media and all that stuff, your plugs, your dates, blah, blah, blah. So, and I'll do this for Instagram story.
Hey, it's Bronson Jones. You can find me on all social media. Where am I looking? Over there?
4, yeah.
4. You can find me on all social media at Bronston Jones. And every Wednesday night, if I'm in LA, I'm at Venice Underground Comedy. It is literally considered one of the best shows.
At the Townhouse in Venice.
At the Townhouse.
Yeah.
And just follow me online. You'll find it. They'll promote it. I'll be there tonight. Come tonight.
Oh my gosh, tonight's the show.
They'll be watching this, but
No, that's amazing. Tonight's the show.
Yeah.
Who's on tonight? Do you know who's
tonight? I have Nate Craig. I have. There's somebody in town who I think is one of the best comedians working in the whole business, and everybody in New York knows who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
LA people are just discovering. Bill Burr did an hour special, and she's in town, and I begged her to do it. And I don't know if she's supposed to have done it so many times, but I didn't even know she was in town until yesterday.
But maybe tonight.
I'm trying. But it's one of those things where if
we're not going to say who it is because we don't know yet. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
She hasn't even gotten back to me. But if I can get her,
I think you're going to get her. I got a good feeling about it.
Yeah,
I do.
Me too. And I'm stoked that you do the comedy show there. That's so neat.
Well, because we've been to it, and that's why you're familiar.
Yeah. Now it all makes sense. But I do love that show.
Yeah.
It's such a great room.
I love Venice.
It's a good energy.
Are you
going to live in Venice forever? I mean, if you can. I mean, if you want to stay there?
If I stay in LA, I've told myself I'll never move more than a mile away from the Venice Pier. Because, like more than a mile from Hanano.
Can I ask, where are you now? Are you behind Hanano or are you north of the pier? Is that where you are?
No, I started when I first moved to Venice. I was right next to the Whaler, the mermaid-looking space alien lady building. I was in there.
I know the mermaid.
And then I was just explaining.
I remember the old Whaler before when it used to smell like puke before it got all nice.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It used to be just Sundays.
Well, that whole neighborhood used to be just down and out dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I lived down on the peninsula, and then now I live sort of straight up Washington, like near Abercrombie.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm a mile walk from the beach, which is good. I wish my career was better because I'd move back to the beach. I love for me. I'm still.
It'll be just fun.
I'm a mile off of it. I'm still west of Lincoln, but I'm like, I'm fucking shit from the ocean.
Yeah, I don't know how long I can take this.
Yeah. You get spoiled in Venice.
Perspective.
Oh,
Changes everything.
You are a riot, man. I hope you've enjoyed this. I really enjoyed talking to you. Just as I don't know if the show's going to be good, but you're really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the people who watch it might hate me.
I don't think so. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it, though.
Yeah, totally. I'll come back anytime.
Ryan, what do we have tomorrow?
Lorena.
Tomorrow's
in
Thursday,
Porsche.
so we've got Women in Porsche. Lorena Esposito is going to be here, John Esposito's daughter. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk, I'm assuming, about you guys and ladies in Porsche, but also
I think so.
all of the car talk that usually comes out. And then we've got Breakfast Club on Friday, so that's what's going on. All right, Mrs. Ryan, I love you so very much.
I love
Sorry about
you
that.
too.
Thank you so much for being here. We love you so very much, Bronston Jones. Thank you for being
Thanks
here. We
for
love
being
everybody
This is
at
an awesome
home.
threesome.
Please love one another. And we will see you tomorrow.
This is awesome. I love It's just so rare. The only other professional thing here is me.
I don't agree with you there either, but I like that you said it. Thanks.